you will have to know to pick up the legislation, which not many LARP designers do when they design LARP. You have to really think about everything. If you've done a proper high-level LARP for children, you already have a structure to do LARP for adults. Infrastructure of your company. Teenagers have different desires. They're more daring, more adventurous. They not always tell parents where to go. Also, why children is the best marketing strategy? Because children's parents communicate. They advertise it to each other. And if, for example, teenagers, adults, they come when they like and when they want. Different kind of games, for example, if you have educative games, like for example, biology, like physical or educative, if child likes and it's regular event, you already get into family check. And family adjust their schedule. So every week, they will bring a child to you, they will pay you the same amount of money because they want for child to be busy for 2 hours. And that's the best target audience, because if you work with children, it's already better accepted with every other area there is. And you raise also to yourself consumers, which could be with you for the rest of your lives. I played games with some of them when they were like 6, 7, 5 years, and now they're teenagers who are very demanding, and they really give a lot to the project. So children, if teenagers and so on sometimes don't have money, parents never are greedy when it counts on their children. Parents can spend any amount of money if they see that it brings good to their child. So I would advise you that's the best way to make stable, smaller community and to adjust. Also, they give you feedback. If they see that they can tell you what to do better and you're flexible and you want the information from them, they will help you to develop your project. Teenagers, they in school mainly, at high schools and so on, they already have to have some kind of purpose. They like to think about themselves. It's usually the age when they are trying to understand themselves. They want to understand different social roles, and in that, and this research we have in Russian academia, there is a huge research about role-playing in schools and which age demands what. Teenagers also a pretty good thing, because you can get together with schools themselves and just bring your LARP to the school, and you have like contract with 5 different schools. You just go there and gather money, basically, from playing one LARP at a time. For example, my companies, they have like 8 LARPs a week sometimes, well, at average. Sometimes 3 a day, sometimes none, well, you know, but so, and it happens. Well, I had one guy who just comes to me. He takes a scenario, takes an equipment, goes to his hometown, and his mother, she's a headmaster of one school, and he had made agreement with all schools. He just makes the games everywhere, and he just brings me money, and here you are. I love that. I mean, here you are. He just lives, and he comes and gives me my share, and that's beautiful. So teenagers also a good level, because teenagers are lazy and they need motivational tool. Physical activity, education, and so on. We worked in the United States with Seekers Unlimited. We instilled the LARP into educative system of United States. And the results are amazing. If you look for Seekers Unlimited on YouTube, there are a lot of replies about children, how their perspective on math even changed after certain games. How they think that it's needed, required, and it's awesome. Students, they fun, they good, they could be good in PCs or whatever, volunteers, but usually, unless they're from a wealthy family, they don't have a lot of money, and they don't have a lot of will to be regular attenders of your... That's the worst, not the worst, it's the most unreliable social group you can aim for. So if your like competition wants to work with students, let them. Don't worry about that. They'll run out of money or patience in Europe too. Adult education is very interesting because adult education is when you work with business skills. Usually it's a business education, or if you teach them how to use certain methodology to grow professionally, to form a personal. There are different classifications, which I'll show you. Student education often could be fashionable. For example, like we used to Nordic LARP having some social issues, like about abortions, about minorities and so on. It's a student LARP. Students, they're very good at marketing. They will do a couple of Instagram pictures and so on. But students, educative LARP, like speaking English, for example, they would gather and play LARP in English. Educative LARP for students is very, very good for marketing, but not for money. Adults, I'll tell more about it later. Special education for people with special needs and special requirements. It's a huge field, and even though you don't get a lot of PR from it, you get a lot of input and respect from different communities and different industries. For example, we've done a whole lot of different LARPs for disabled, including the LARPs for blind, for the LARPs for, we even wrote like role-playing games for mobile for blind. It's awesome. I always, when I travel somewhere, I turn it on and I play with my eyes closed. It's awesome. I know in France they do similar things. We do LARPs for people in wheelchairs. We do LARPs for people with Down syndrome, with many, many other things. And we adjust. Sometimes we make their disability a strong point. There are many great, and some I described in my other articles, but I will tell you gladly, there will be tears if I'll tell you some of the projects, so we'll not spend a lot of time on them at the moment. Okay, EduSystem. Also, I made a little classification about in which system educational LARP you instill, because absolutely different. Educational system has separate official system of your state, has different requirements, and to get there you have to have support from officials, and already project has to be proven. Additional education, it's something which you do out of school, out of official program, and it's easier to gather people there. And business education, it's something where you have to have already some business successful person who would tell, yes, you need to do this to increase your level. Or sometimes on business education, which you also can have an order from HR or educational department from that company to teach their workers certain thing. Good thing about LARP, why I'm working with LARP, not other type of games, because LARP is the ultimate form of the game, period. LARP uses the most dimensions of information, the most senses, the most dimension of communication with the surrounding world. More than any other type of game, and it can include in itself any other type of game and any other type of methodology. Anything you can include in LARP. There's no other tool like that. And therefore, it's very well sold to business education. They will give you the target, what they want from it. Even different language of programming. With LARP, it's learned even quicker than usually, and it's a proven fact. Okay. Also, types of education are broken into another three categories. Moral education, something like for example, Nordic LARP, they always consider what's good or bad. Intellectual education and physical education. These are three categories which could be three dimensions you can develop person during one LARP. And even though you don't consider them and don't think about them, they still exist. And if you don't control what's happening there, it happens without your permission, without your control. And sometimes you can send a message on one or the other level, which could be harmful. just think about consequences. If you're a pro LARPer, if you're doing LARP in a professional way, you have to think about consequences always. If there's something questionable, wait until you're a media personality, and because if something is questionable, it might bring problem to all industry. It's like in archery. In our country, for example, one person can, if one child will suffer from the arrow from the bow, all archers will be banished unless they have certain accreditation and so on and so on. And that's right, actually, because even one life is too big of a price for a stupid mistake. And as a student, I worked in emergency aid in psychiatry aid, and I've seen people who, after psychological experiments, whole families went into mental hospital. So don't consider everything which can help and develop, it can harm equally. And to be professional, the first thing which you learn when you're a professional, how to do your thing without harming. You study in universities to be specialists in one or the other, to be lawyers, to be doctors, to be anyone, how to be architects, how to do your business, how to build a house, how to consult without bringing harm to those you consult, to the society itself. This why, that's what means going pro, and that's what you learn actually at universities. If some mother comes to you or some specialist and asks which are dangerous, which are like strictly prohibited at your games, you have to have something. If you have nothing, then it's suspicion. It means that you do not know your product well enough. Well, it's a bad thing, yeah. It started to be depressing. Yeah. I'll go on. In psychology, lucky me, I had in Belarus we can experiment with people. Actually, some people know this game. It was after I think after or during the Limbo game, after or before, something like that. Maybe someone knows this game. People will, when they imagine themselves personalist souls in the limbo between life and death.
Yeah, played it.
Yeah, it's wonderful and it's very powerful when you do it.